right, let's have for everybody would like to stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody to the meeting tonight. We'll call the meeting to order. Here. Here. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion or a motion to approve the consent? Just approve the agenda. I'm sorry. Approve the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second. All in favor? Aye. Next item on the I need a motion to accept the consent agenda items. I'll make a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next on the agenda is the citizens' opportunity for comment. Just remind here, public comment reminder: the citizens' opportunity to address the council on items not on the agenda. This agenda item is set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business, other than those listed on the agenda. Please understand that the council will not take action on your comments at this meeting. In accordance with Iowa's open meetings law, the mayor and city council welcome comments from the public pursuant to the adopted rules of procedure of the Alleman City Council. At no time is it appropriate to use profane, obscene, slanderous language. The mayor may limit each speaker to 5 minutes. So with that, if there's someone here that would like to address the council, please state the name, your address, and for the record. Nobody wants to address the city? Nobody wants to address anything? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. We have Corey Morrison with us today, or this evening. She is the Business and Community Development Manager for Mid-America Energy. I think everybody's got a copy of her report. She's going to give us a report on our system reliability of Mid-America Energy with regards to gas and electricity. And so I'll turn it over to Corey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having us today. I also have Jerry Richter with me. He's a manager of our electric operations.
Could you stand up?
Oh, yep. I don't know if you can tell the difference. I'm pretty short.
Speak up.
I am standing now.
Speak up loud.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. So we were asked to come and talk a little bit about some of the reliability. There's been a few outages related to some storms recently, and just overall maybe some feelings of whether or not there's some things that we can do from a reliability standpoint to make sure we're keeping your lights on as much as we possibly can. So Jerry and I have been meeting with our Mid-American team looking at outages. You'll see a report in here. We're going to go through what's in here, answer any questions that you have, tell you some things that we have done historically for Alleman and some things that we've got planned moving forward. So feel free as we go, ask questions. You know, Mid-American is your partner for gas and electric. You know, we're here to collaborate with you. We want your lights on. We want the gas flowing. You know, that's our 100% goal, and we're doing everything we can to support that. So I would just say if you have comments, you have thoughts, we're here to be supportive and leave here tonight, hopefully continuing that collaboration. So with that, you'll see on the very first page, on the back of that first cover page, we did a system reliability review. And essentially what we do oftentimes, and depending on how you're fed, we'll pull different zones from town and we'll take a look at the outages you've had. So what you see on this first page is what we've looked at from a system reliability standpoint. And Jerry's going to talk a little bit about kind of how you guys are served. You're actually served from two different directions. So at times, you may see some outages in one part of town and not in the other part of town because you're being served from two different directions. But ultimately what we looked at, you can see on here, there's pointed out 3 different numbers. Those are the customers that we pulled and we did outage checks on, or the reliability check that we did. That then's going to kind of lead to some of the things that we're talking about here coming up. So I don't know, Jerry, if you want to talk a little bit maybe about the reasons we have 2 sources serving Alleman.
Yeah, essentially your Alleman is served by 2 substations or / sources. One comes from northeast Ankeny, and I'm actually fed off the same one as well. And then the other one is the Alleman substation, which is the south of town here. So those are the 2 sources that the town is fed by.
So we did a 2-year look back. So if we go to the next page, you'll see the results of our 2-year look back that we did by looking at those 3 customers on that system. So we found that the outages that we saw were due to included weather, animals, and equipment failure. So we dug into kind of looking at those a little bit further to see, what was the cause of it. Sometimes weather just doesn't tell us enough. What are some of the details around that? But you'll see in here what we ended up coming up with for what we saw for outages. So if you look at the first bullet point, we talk about out of the Alleman feeder. So that's going to be anything you see up in this kind of horseshoe shape on that side of town, the northern side of town. What we found was that we had over the last 2 years 4 sustained outages. And sustained outages, I would say, I don't know, Jerry, if you know the exact minutes, but I think it's anything over 15-20 minutes is considered a sustained outage.
Yeah, yeah.
About right?
Well, that's what you guys call 6 hours.
What's that?
6 hours, what do you
So that would be a sustained outage. So what we found on that Alleman feeder over the last 2 years is that we had 4 sustained outages. So 2 were weather related and 2 were equipment related. We also saw that we had 4 limited impact sustained outages, which means that not everybody in that zone, in that horseshoe zone, would have seen an outage, but there might have been little blips or little reasons that maybe one part or one customer saw something. So it wasn't a system-wide outage, it was maybe just a very isolated incident. And then the last one we have there is 5 momentary outages affecting all customers on that circuit. 4 were weather related, 1 was unknown. But those are usually in that 5, 10, 15 minute range before we figure out what it is and get it back online. And then the northeast feeder, that's the one that's kind of served down here on the south side. You see the bottom horseshoe upside down there. We had 3 sustained outages in the last 2 years. 1 was weather related and 2 were equipment related. And then we had 1 momentary outage that the cause was unknown. And then we also called out, connected to and included in there was the July 2nd, 3rd event that I think there was a number of folks that throughout this entire area due to weather that was, hit unfortunately with the weather. And what that was caused by was a tree that fell down and tore down a primary wire. So the outage began at 8:30 and ended at 1:14 by the time we could get the crew out, get the tree off the line, get you guys up and going again. So that was the most recent event. Anything you want to cover on any of that, Jerry?
I don't think so. Well, I think there is.
So that's something just to kind of keep in mind. We're going to talk about some things we're doing coming up, either that we've already got planned or that we're planning, but keeping in mind kind of how it's fed a little bit differently, because some of the things that we're working on is a little different depending on which area you're fed from. Jerry, if you want to talk a little bit about when we took a look at the system reliability and some of the pulls and from an operations perspective, some of the things we've been doing the last year.
Yeah, so we've replaced 17, straightened 3. And then we have some other equipment that we're looking at upgrading. One of the things is animal protection. And then also we're going to install another reclosure on the system, which is basically an item to help sectionalize outages down to smaller areas. It's kind of like a circuit breaker in your house, essentially is what it is. So, and And then we're actually in the process of adding a new substation, which should be south of town here with an in-service date of next summer.
Who will that serve?
That'll be split up. Some will serve Alleman, some of them will serve North Ankeny.
So that'll essentially replace those folks on the south side, so that upside down horseshoe on the south side of town. So the next page kind of shows a map on that, like the two things that Jerry just mentioned that we're going to be working on. The new recloser, you can see a circle about approximately where that's going to go. They haven't identified exactly where it's going, but they have been looking at, the defense system reliability, see what makes sense. So what happens with the folks that are served from the northeast Ankeny substation that's down here, if you think about where Alleman is and where northeast Ankeny is, the line that runs from that substation all the way up to you guys, anything that would happen on that line puts anybody on that circuit at risk. So there's things that we already have on that line, recloser wise or system protection wise, so that if something happens over here, the system can get protected and not impact everybody. So with some of the outages that we've seen in the last year, some of the ones that we mentioned earlier, the team has taken a look and has been planning on putting a recloser in, and with the most recent event, kind of looking at where does it make the most sense. But that recloser will go in and essentially be a system protection. So that if anything happens on that distribution line that runs all the way from the northeast side of Ankeny up to North Alleman, it's essentially will shut the system off and protect you guys from the impact of that. So that's one thing that we're working on. That's going to be in service, I think in the next few months, sometime in 2026.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then the substation that Jerry mentioned, you can see this future substation down here. And that's actually going to be helping feed a closer substation. So right now, the northeast substation is serving up to this area as well. But by moving it closer, that's cutting down on the amount of distribution line that puts you guys at risk. So if you think about where it was previously and moving it closer, you will now be tied into that new substation in the summer of 2027. And again, it cuts down on the distribution line where trees can fall, ice can freeze, bring down lines, whatever it is. It cuts down on the amount of line that's going to potentially impact you all. So those are the two things that we've got working. Any questions on any of that so far?
One question with the future substation, the relocation, if you will, of a new station. How does that affect the transmission of power here? Will we do overhead line? Will we do underground? Does any of that change?
Yeah, there's potential for it to, Jerry, you could probably hit on that more than I could, but there's potential. They're going to continue to utilize the lines that are there that make sense, but if there's things that we have to upgrade to tie into that new substation, they will.
Yeah, usually out of the substation. It's underground out of the substation and then tie into the existing lines, essentially. So we'll change you. No, I guess it'll still be fed off of what you're fed off of now in a sense. But you'll be, I guess the load will be split up amongst probably honestly about 3 substations of different sources. So if you do have, an outage, your power can be restored a lot faster. So through tie switches and different things. So this gives you more options for switching. So
does this give us more for projected new homes or increase in consumption?
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. What would we, 50 homes or?
That's a good question. I'm not sure the size of the substation, but I'm sure it'd be a lot more than that.
Yeah, okay.
We build them pretty big. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. That's one of the reasons they're doing it.
And how are you acquiring the land to put that there? Is it,
It's already been acquired. It's actually under construction already.
Okay, I didn't know. Sometimes you gotta force people into giving up their property, so.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's all been taken care of and everybody's happy. Okay.
You have to own that for like 7 years, don't you, before you can build on it?
I don't know how long we have to own it, but we usually, we look at from
It's a long time.
a capital improvement standpoint, we're always looking 10 years in the horizon. So we own, substation land that we're not building anything on, but that there's potential for growth. You look at just the area surrounding the north side of the metro, it's a growing area. So they're always looking at where does it make sense to procure property, and we work with landowners on what makes sense. We don't intentionally go in and take people's land away or anything. This is a long-term look that we have. And then once the growth says it's time, that's when we start looking at it.
Well, I've read a little bit up on substations. You don't want to be living too close.
Gotcha. Yeah, usually they're built out, just kind of away from people. So,
Yeah.
but anyway.
So the last page we've got here is just a few notes that we made for you all. I mean, the best thing that you can do, and Sherry knows this, you guys have a direct line of communication to both Jerry and I. Jerry is served off of the same line as the south side of Alleman is served. I live in Oak City, I'm up here in Alleman all the time, my kids go to the North Coast School District. So we want you guys to be online, we want you to be served, that's our approach in general. So you've got our emails tied in here, you can reach out at any point. We obviously have a close eye on Alleman, just because of some of the outages you guys have seen with the way that you've been served and the weather events that we've had. And we're going to continue to look at what we can do to support it. And I would just encourage you to reach out. We're happy to have a conversation anytime. If there's a specific set of customers that feels that there's something that they're seeing that they're not happy with, we'll always take a look at it and we'll see what the data is telling us and what the system can do for you.
Yeah, please contact me too. I don't live very far from here, so,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Well, my only concern is that it's just really hard on us to lose power in a weather event. And it costs residents thousands of dollars many times. And you got 3 times in a year. That's pretty much 3 floods in the basement. And I drive up and down the street and I see all my neighbors have been carrying carpet and all kinds of personal items out of their houses that flooded. And that is very disheartening. And I just don't know how else to put it, but you've got to understand that, it's a terrible thing to deal with. And
I've dealt with it myself, Mayor, I know.
anything that you can do, you just gotta know our concern. The school system, I know has lost power a couple of times. That place goes dark, and there's not any windows over there, and so that's a problem. Full of kids and the power goes out. So reliability is the number one thing on our mind is reliability. I know weather events, the ratio and those kinds of things, but it just seems like, it's slow to react and slow to get it fixed. And that's our big concern.
Good.
So, I just wanted to let you know that,
Yeah,
on behalf of the residents, that are here that have been carrying stuff out of their basements and repairing everything, it's very concerning to us.
yeah, it's something to deal with. I deal with it once myself, so.
All right, well, is there any other questions or comments from the residents?
How much closer does this future substation get to us? As compared, is the one now 2 miles away and this one's a mile?
Well, the Northeast Ankeny one, that is, it is south of 36th Street.
On the east side of 35.
Be south of Costco. So as far
Quite a
as,
bit closer.
so yeah, quite a bit closer, yeah.
So this line right here is where the city is getting their power now. Okay. And they're gonna continue to get their power from this area?
I'm not 100% sure on the plan, but I know the plan is to divide, usually when they burn substations, they divide up load.
Okay,
So it gives you more options.
because
So you have
this line has been better than the line that we're on.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
and I'm gonna let these guys that live in town talk, because I think I talked to Sherry about how long the town lost power for, on the 2nd of July, and it wasn't for very long, was it? Okay, now the other question is when the derecho hit, how long were you guys without power?
8 days.
Because we were without power for 8 days, and for some reason I thought you guys got online a couple days ahead.
I think it was 8 or 12 hours, because I could see the lights up there.
Yeah, like across the street from us, come on.
That's different power company.
Before we get their duration.
Remember that.
Yeah, it's been hours, like,
So the rest of
days.
with the house, put the lines across the street, come on.
And, you know, and let's say a comment. You're big mid-American, American energy, and the people across the street have way better, reliable energy than you guys. And, you know, and I've often thought, why don't you guys just get us to them?
Well, the service territories are determined by the Iowa Utilities Commission, so we don't have any say in that.
So we don't have any say either.
I mean, you have to reach out to the Iowa Utilities Commission, you know, and have that conversation with them. You know, our goal is, like I said before, is to keep your lights on and provide reliable service. You know, I think if you look, it's, you know, most of what we're seeing is tied to weather events. And, you know, it's something that we see across our entire service territory. I don't know what consumers, I think that's who's across the street, I don't know. You know, they may be down at times, you guys are up. They may be up. I don't know the details around it. All I know is that I can tell you that we're here to help serve and keep your lights on and keep the energy flowing. And we're doing what we can to support you. There's nothing that we're doing to, you know, adversely target Alleman to not give you power. Our goal is to have you up and running 100% of the time. It's going to be the case that there is going to be some downtime, and we're going to learn from it when it occurs and see what we can do to be better next time.
I can't speak for the other people in this room, but I can speak for myself. I have very little confidence, and I just do. And if I'm not home and we lose power, it's a bad thing. So other people might sit there and say, oh, hey, you're doing a great job, but I don't personally have a lot of confidence in this.
Does Mid-American Energy have a program where these people who lost power got a battery backup system that you can supply them, or a program where they help them get it? A battery backup system when they lose the power for their sump pumps?
I mean, if you're interested in looking at how to get something specific from an electricity standpoint to hook up something that you purchase, I mean, that's a decision that you can make. We can help look at what you might need to set
I
that
have
up.
programs that assist owners.
But you're going to come out and
There's a
put
decent
new,
backups in my
you're going to come out and put new meters on our house and do that. We're going to get regulators and stuff. And so we're going to get charged for that after being out of power for 6 hours and having to replace everything in our, I think the least you could do is pick up that and say, okay, we bit the bullet and we bought an all-house generator because we're tired of getting flooded so many times. So we stepped through the process of doing what we have to do to get it hooked up. And then the last thing is going to be you guys coming out, but then you're going to charge us to have new meters put in.
Yeah, isn't that special?
And if you guys have any concerns or questions that you want us to follow up on,
I just said, that was
No,
my
that's-
concern.
I just know, but
that was my concern.
But I'm saying if you want to email me, I'd be happy to look into any of that. I'm not prepared to answer. I'm not aware of that program or what it is that you're looking at,
Yeah,
but I'm happy to look into it.
In a nutshell, because I'm looking at a home generator system too, and they said, well, you probably have to get Mid-American. I said, they're the reason I'm trying to get away from, but because, anytime, I don't, it doesn't come across like you're really trying to help us.
If you were trying to help, you'd bury the lines, and you guys know that. You know, I mean, Mid-America's doing it all over the state of Iowa.
Well, I am
You
sorry
know that
you guys-
all the problems in this town, 90% would be gone if you buried them.
Unfortunately, we're not able to just bury lines across, you know,
Yeah, it just
We-
takes,
we
takes
do
a lot
when-
of time, so,
and I'm sorry you guys feel that we don't care, that we're not trying. That's not the case. I mean, I'm here 100% to tell you that. We've been working on and looking at this since, you know, Sherry called. It's been something the team had already been looking on prior to that. We're
As
here
many
to,
times as we've been out, why aren't you looking at it before?
we
Before
have
this
been.
hit?
Oh,
I mean,
we
just
do.
look at how many times that they've been out.
yeah.
I mean, this isn't something, no, this is a big one, and we got buku houses that have been flooded. It should have been looking at it from a, if you're looking at it, then it should have been being looked at. You said, we have a problem, we should be getting this, and it shouldn't take forever to come up with a decision.
And unfortunately, that recent, the July 2nd and 3rd one, a tree fell on our line. You know, we try to get out as quick as we can to get it off the line, but, you know,
6 hours later, 13 inches later in people's basements. And then you have to go and buy an all-house generator, and that costs you. And then you're going to have to pay to have an American to come out and put the regulators up. Because you want to get your money for the regulators, and we're going to be running our generators, our electricity goes out. That's my concern.
Yeah, and also too, it's very hard to work when it's going that hard too, so.
Are you talking about the gas meter, when they put the new gas meter in? They don't charge you for that. They don't, when they start doing that?
Well, they said.
I had my whole house generator put in, they didn't charge me. Mid-America came out and did it for free.
Well, then
That was all
they
part of
called.
the-
When we called, they said, this is what you'll probably have to pay at least $300-400.
No, you don't have to pay Mid-America anything, you have to pay I paid my installer, and he hired the gas, he did everything.
This was different. We have to call Mid-American and tell them to come and check it out.
Well, they have to come inspect it, but they don't charge you for it.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't sure what you're talking about, but yeah, that is true, so.
Okay, so basically, we went from
That's what discrepancy.
existing 250 BTU units, or whatever you guys call them, to 500. You have to upsize the meter in the house. And that's the problem.
Did they charge you for that?
Well, there's gonna be a cost associated with that.
There is.
Yeah.
They're gonna charge you for using more product.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm getting here?
yeah.
That's a real good business.
I think it's a couple $100 to change that meter out. Increase the pressure. Unfortunate.
So you said the substation will be summer 2027.
Correct.
So is there a way to expedite that if future incidents happen? Are you still studying? Are you watching that? Like, is there an option of we pivot our timeline and priorities?
now the substation construction is, you know, it's already been in process for a little while now. Those usually take about 3 years to build. So they're on the timeline for it to be in service in 2027. If they're able to bring it on sooner, they do. But no, that one, but the system as a whole, we're going to continue to look at it. You know, that recloser that we're putting in up on the north side of town, that's gonna be something that we're gonna be doing here in the next few months. But having that additional substation will essentially just give more options, as Jerry mentioned earlier, that if you do have something go out, there's a switching that we can do between substations that weren't damaged or didn't have things for.
That's only if you're having a portion part.
Well, it'll all still be interconnected though, so there will be.
Will be connected to up here. The
Yeah.
new substation will also, so it'll be a full loop between the two substations.
Correct.
So same thing for those of us down in south. If one goes down, it would back feed into ours as well.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, they're all tied through switches, so.
They will be.
Well-
Currently not.
Well, I think they actually are now. I'd have to refresh myself on some circuit configuration, but right now, I'm sure the both substations are configured through switches already. So you just can essentially probably have a third feed, so.
So that brings up more questions in my mind then, if they're connected by a switch, when one goes out, why can't they flip that switch and get fed from the other?
So it's just a matter of where the outage occurs. So that's why when you have those reclosers that go in, it essentially stops the impact from continuing down, and we can backfeed from a different sub. So it's essentially, it's just looking at the system from a reliability standpoint, and you'll have a third substation that will have the opportunity to serve. And they're all interconnected, but a lot of times it's a matter of where the weather event or the equipment failure is, and it's where that occurs. It's a matter of how do you protect everybody off of it.
Are those switches automatic or are they manually?
We have both, actually. We have both. Some of the older ones are manual. Actually, I don't know, for the last 5 years, we've been putting in automatic ones. So we have both. So all the brand new switches we're putting in are automatic.
I mean, you operate your business like a city. You have capital budget every year.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing any of this slow down upgrading our system because money is flowing more to data centers and supplying power and all that to them?
No.
I mean, are we suffering any because of that?
Data centers, they fit the bill pretty much, so, but no, answer your question now.
They're a regulated monopoly. They make money, no matter how bad they are. It's just the way it is.
Where is that?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, Scott.
I did, actually. I'm curious, one of the things that we have to do during our budget process and our annual operations is we have long-term plans, as I'm sure you do as well. One of the concerns that I heard brought up by citizens was the overhead lines versus buried lines, and you had touched on it. Has there been any talk about future potential for burying the lines around here? Is that something that's been discussed at all? Is that a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 25-year plan, or has it been touched?
I don't know if it's anything that you've talked about in your department, but what they look at when they look at distribution overhead to underground, that's what they call it. They look at overhead to underground, kind of short-term terminology for it. But they're looking at where, as development occurs, they're putting things underground now. But the thing is we have thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of overhead lines. And if we went out and put all those overhead lines underground, for the purposes of just doing it, your rates would skyrocket. Your electric rates would go up, all these things that we now, we have to do consistently across our entire service territory. So we're always looking at where does it make sense? What can we do with the system as it gets, upgraded or turned over? As development occurs, what can we put underground? We want to put it underground as much as we can. We're regulated not to be able to do that unless there's someone that's, a development that's paying for it and driving it, or there's, a reason from a new perspective that we can put it underground versus taking it overhead to underground.
Well, I can appreciate that point of view, but because my question is more along the lines of nothing lasts forever, everything requires maintenance, and at some point systems just don't. It doesn't make sense to maintain them any longer. So at some point, it would seem prudent for you to have a plan for reconnection, redesign, reconfiguration of existing lines. And I'm just curious if that is part of that comprehensive plan or not.
It's something they're always looking at. Where does it make sense? How is the technology advancing to the point that it makes sense to do that? I don't have any sort of idea of a very targeted general scope of where they're looking at doing it, but it's always something that when does it make sense to do it? When is the technology advanced enough? Putting things underground isn't always a solution either. It definitely helps from a weather perspective, but when you have things underground and you have an outage, we have to now go figure out underground where's that outage occurring and what's it from. So it's not, I don't want to sit here and say it's not a good solution, but there's also challenges with underground wires that we have as well. Overhead has its own challenges, underground has its own challenges. Where it makes sense to take things underground, we'll do that. It's often seen in newly developed areas where we're putting it in for the first time.
Does anybody else have any questions for Corey? Council? Good. Thank you very much, Corey, for coming up and giving us a report. And hopefully you share our concerns with your higher-ups or whatever. And we're just, it's caused a lot of sweat and tears.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you guys really getting out.
Yeah, I said, please contact me to my email address is on there. Please contact me to any issues, but, yeah, I understand your concerns, so.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the sheriff's report. We have the officer there in the back.
Certainly does have with the sheriff's office, so I have to apologize to you guys. We're in the middle of updating our CAD system, which is how we do all of our reporting. So we don't have any statistics for the past month. As that system comes up online, we still will be able to run those reports. We'll be able to run that system is not operating. You guys have any questions for the sheriff's office on anything that happened up here?
With the school being shut down for summer, usually there's not too much going on.
Yeah.
They're real busy.
Yeah, they're working on dates for, right now your guys' SRO is working this afternoon shift, and I know they just put in dates for him to come back up here, so.
And if you, just a couple things, already passed resolutions installing speed limit signs in the city, improper right-hand turns, all of those, and school starts before our next meeting, I believe. So I hope you guys are all
You're needing
cognizant
more
of
signs?
that.
Is that what you're saying?
What?
You said you're needing more signs?
No, I'm asking that you take a look, everybody take a look at our signs and what we've done, you know, and govern it accordingly.
Oh, I
Change the speed limit.
Perfect. I see.
Yeah, we lowered the speed limit to 20. We've also installed on 3rd Street, no right turns at certain times of the day to give more of an idea of this traffic through town in the morning.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll get that put out to the day shift for sure, and then obviously I'll let my shift knows we're here, it's full time. You guys get out, so.
All right. Any questions, for the sheriff? Council? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good night. Next item on the agenda is Jim Wolf. Jim wants to address the council.
Over here, hot seat over here.
Yes, sir.
Take as little time as possible. I'm not here to tell you that my situation is priority over anybody else's. We had a crap show going on this July. It was a horrible month, and folks in here taking a beating. The town has. It's just been a bad deal. I had kind of a unique situation on my corner of town. I live at 14160 Northeast 3rd Street, so just north of the school block. I woke up, well, I didn't wake up, but I was in the garage July 2nd, 9:30 at night. My wife tells me I've got sewage coming up in the washing machine in the basement. I have no clue, it's been raining all day. Take care of that situation. I go outside and I have water coming out of my septic tank at a high rate of speed. Lids up, got a mess. I've lived here since 2013. We bought the house. Great community, small town, that's what we're looking for. Didn't have any issues with any water. I actually looked at the house, made it with a downpour, and I thought, you know what, there's no water here, I'm good. Years go by, 2 years go by, we start to have some issues. I have some water seepage in the basement, up through the floor. I say, well, call them in West Basement, they come in, I spend money, they fix the system, and then slowly again, we start to have more issues. I put in a bigger sump pump to keep up with things. When it rains, it comes in a 4-inch tile rushing into my septic tank or my sump pump pit for some reason. And I can't figure that out, why it's an on and off switch whenever it rains. We start to have more issues, and I talked to Rick at that time. And I find out there's this clay tile that runs through my property. And then they start to have issues later on. We find our neighbors here, the co-op, is dumping rain down the hole in the tile and plugging it up. So myself and my neighbors start to have issues again. Back up in my sump pump, it runs continuously. Issues come up, they fix that, problem solved. And then again, we start to have issues off and on all the time, and this is a big fight. I bring it up. The city obviously doesn't have a pool of money to dig into. I've had several discussions with neighbors, concerns. We've hopefully got the co-op figured out, tell them to stop dumping grain in the tile. That's not where it goes, and I don't know why they decided to do that. We have an agricultural tile that runs through that part of property. It runs from, I don't know where, through town, and then dumps in the 4-mile creek. It's an agricultural tile, and it's not designed for where it's supposed to be. Here, we have July 2nd, we have the event there. I pump water from July 2nd till July 5th. I had a sinkhole in my yard. Little did I know at that time that water was being pushed up into my property, washed out my lateral, and then water was coming out of my septic tank. So I pumped water into the ditch for 4 days, not knowing where it's at. I called Des Moines Water Works to have them shut my water off because I thought I had water leak. Continue this, we finally dry out, it stops raining. I find that I've got some other issues. I fix those, I fix my lateral, fill it in, and then 2 weeks later, July 20th, we have another 5 inches of rain, and I have the same thing. At 8:30 at night, I have water coming out of my septic tank at a high rate again. I pump all night. I get up in the morning and there's water coming out of the corner of my property. It's not been raining for several hours, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So I call the city, they come down, they say, we've got a problem somewhere. We go to the T intersection where there are 2 standpipes. They're full of water. Nothing's flowing in that tile. That water has been backing up on my property for several years and continues to get worse. It's an agricultural tile. It shouldn't be there. I'm asking for some help on it. I've incurred a lot of costs with this, and generally, sometimes it's just what a homeowner does. You guys are talking about backup generators. I've got one because I need one. I've done my septic. I've done my sump pump. I've done all that stuff at my cost. I've also put a lot of money in this last disaster that occurred. I've got almost $6,000 invested right now with just materials and things like that, plus having to babysit pumps 24/7 to try to keep things going. I had to rent a pump. I also had to borrow 2 industrial pumps from my son, which works for an excavation company, to try to keep up with the water. I had to have Roger Septic come out and pump my tank on holiday, which wasn't cheap. My 1,500 gallon tank, he pumped 3,600 gallons out of it in 15 minutes, and it was still coming in. That's what I did over the 4th. So I'm just giving you my story and letting you know that that is a mess down there, and it continues to get worse, and I'm getting tired of it. Go ahead.
How do you feel about, we get the city council to get our engineer to maybe look at this and see what we need to do to dig it down, or maybe put another storm sewer in or something? Because I know where you live, I don't think that elevation of that sewer is low enough. What are you gonna say?
We are working with Polk County Water Authority to create a permanent solution. That's been in the works for a couple of years now. I addressed the council 4 years ago.
Speak up.
I addressed the council 4 years ago after the county came in and did an entire mapping survey of all those tiles in town. They did that for us for free, and the Water Authority worked with us to come up with some ideas because it drains 194 acres of agricultural land, and it runs directly through the town. He is correct. It is an agricultural tile. It's not city infrastructure. It's not a city tile. It's agricultural tile, and it was put in a long time ago. When I addressed council 4 years ago, I said Polk County said it was in a deteriorated state. I've been jetting it every year with a low power jetter just to not break it apart. So all we can do is work with the water authority and our engineer and ask for the council's support our residents.
So that's the line the water authority wants to put in from the co-op down 6 to the kind of the waterway that's south of the school. Yep.
Yep.
And that'll stop all the water that's flowing gravity-wise from all the farm fields up here, all the way through downtown, down to 4 Mile.
They estimated 78% of the water we diverted.
That's what, a couple of years away?
28, 29 maybe, I think.
We're on their schedule though.
It's a couple $1 million project.
What they kind of want is kind of like a cost share. Put in 50,000 of our money and that leverages
Now
a lot of their money.
That could be different now. That was the ask 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So that could be different now. I got a meeting with them on Wednesday, so we'll see how that goes. I can tell you regardless, whether they put that line in or not, soon, later, whatever, we're still gonna have to figure out how to assess that tile, because we're gonna have to either fill it with full mortar or something, because that tile is still gonna take in water. It won't have that active flow from the field, but it's still gonna take in that water. When we have a rain event, Mr. Wolf here could end up in the same situation if that tile is not addressed. So I think that's something I've talked to him about. We're working with the engineer to come up with solutions.
And I excuse my temper, I'm a little bit heated.
No, you're good.
Good.
You ought to see me when I get excited.
You're doing really well.
It's 2.5 weeks of not being able to use the septic system was a little bit difficult at home. Just trying to figure out what the problem was enough.
I was there, and with Logan, we spent a couple hours with you and put some dye in there to figure out if this line was part of your problem or.
Well, at that point, I'd had 300,000 gallons down the drain already.
Yeah.
Pumped, so we weren't going to see anything at that point. So,
Could we have you come back next Monday and so we can talk about this with you on our planning
It's our work session.
work session? The one question I would have is there room on your property to put a new septic system in without one that does not have laterals?
that does nothing for my property. Whether my septic system's there or not, there is still water that finds my property. When a rain comes, when that tile is plugged and rain comes and it's just like somebody turned a fire hydrant on in my sump pump pit, there's something wrong. And that's been traditionally over and over again. They clean the line out or repair it because of a cave in or because of rain or a collapse. And my neighbors and myself, it's just like a happy day. The rainbows came and everything's great. But when that starts to plug, I notice the difference. My pump runs consistently, constantly. My neighbors do. They have water come up in a drain. I don't have drains in my basement. I just have my septic or my sump pump. And if that fails, I'm done.
Well, I'm not an expert at this, but we'd be willing to, share this information with Mr. and Kim, our engineer. They designed the storm water system for the city over here, and so they're familiar with our storm system.
And, they can take a look at it.
Is it a storm system problem though, or is it simply that?
So,
It's an ag tile, it's not designed to be there.
It's an old storm.
It's not an old storm.
It's an ag tile.
Can we put a sleeve through some of it to cure some of the problem through your area?
I would love it. That was discussed years ago. There was actually even locates on my property at one point because they were going to put some poly tile in, and then the thought, I guess, went away and we moved on to something else.
All it's going to do is move it to where it's not sleep.
And
It's somebody else's,
And
it's somebody else's yard.
or that's,
You have to do it the whole way through.
That's what I'm saying, can we do it all the way through where it's from
The main,
all to the beach of the creek?
So with the deterioration of the tile currently, it's unlikely that we would be able to achieve the complete line. And that is very unfortunate. I mean,
Without
20 years ago, maybe even more than that, maybe. But currently, it'd be very difficult, and we would more than likely end up digging most of it up. And at that point, there's not much point. I would say, if you're already digging it up, let's dig it up, let's divert it, let's move it, let's be done with the whole situation. And that's, at least that's the route that I'm pursuing, the route that I discussed with Mr. Wolf.
I'm no expert on it, but I've seen what was dug up in the neighborhood west of me, and it's junk. You've got a resolution on your minutes for emergency repair. Giant hole, a lot of old clay tile that's junk. It's seen its life, it's done, and it won't serve what it is anymore.
Clay tile was designed and put in farm fields, and I call it a naked field. No trees, no nothing. Every tree that you enjoy the shade from grows and grows, and it finds the water in dry areas and destroys that clay tile. Once it has been compromised, you can never, ever get it back to where. So now this city's been here since the 60s or whenever, and like you said, all that tile is a detriment. Every city goes through this same deal. It's a budget-eating situation. The citizens have to deal with it. It's a bad deal. Once you turn farm fields into cities and you have to deal with the deterioration of the clay tile and the trees that help it disintegrate into a situation where you're dealing with now.
So, from what I'm hearing is, it's gonna stay as is until it comes to the project time. So in the meantime, if this happens again, am I up the creek again?
well, if I may, kind of patiently waiting for a blank spot to jump in. First of all, I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. That's awful. I dealt with it before once when I was living in Lincoln, and it got in some places it shouldn't have. It ruined the week and a whole lot of bank accounts. So you have I have some questions infrastructure-wise. I'm curious, do the sump pumps in that area, your sump pumps, your neighbor's sump pumps, do they feed into that tile? Is that
Absolutely.
a back feed?
Absolutely.
Where would the back feed be coming from if it's shooting into your sump pump? No. It's gotta find its way into something.
So do you understand how clay tile is set up?
I
It's
do.
butted together.
I do.
So when it expands, it's gotta find a way out. And there's something broke or something expanded in there. When there's enough pressure, it's forcing water on my property. There's no other way to explain it.
No, I understand.
Do you have a map of where it's located? Has it been down?
I do have a map of where it's located. No, I do not have that on me. I'd have to go to my computer file. I can email that to you. But-
Pardon?
Oh.
I wasn't finished. I was not, sorry. So, suggestion to run a sleeve through this tile would obviously be a quick temporary fix if we have this other program or whatever that we're working with Cole County to divert said water. I would like to discuss that at the work session. Obviously, we can't do anything about it tonight because the Robert's Rules of Order wouldn't allow it.
Understood.
But if there is any way that we can, as a community, get this problem solved, at least temporarily, I would like to explore any and all of it. So please, again, government works slowly, we'll do what we can.
I've worked for the government before and I understand 100%.
But I appreciate where you're at, and I do. And I'll try to do whatever I can.
Noting your meeting's Wednesday,
Yeah. Yep.
and do you think when you walk away from that meeting, you'll know like how much Polk County will cover? What like will you walk away? Do you think with a decent?
That is not something that I will know right now. So they this year, I mean, they did like 19.8 million in stormwater wetland projects, which is what this was. During the initial design, we had to show that it actually helped benefit the agricultural land, which is how we discovered that it's actually draining 190 some odd acres. This meeting is purely to basically double check and reassess design, checkpoint, the process to make sure that we're on track, and then we'll have someone come to the council, give a presentation, and as we get closer to that time, they'll talk about all the funding and how that stuff comes about. Since it's not funded by the city, we don't necessarily have any control over any of that. It's purely we're asking you guys to help us out, so we're going to play ball with them, and we're going to work together as a team to try and figure something out here.
Thank you for updating us once you know.
I feel for you, Jim. I've been through it myself. I'm redoing my basement now. We're gonna have some time to go with B&K to see what our plan is. This is, I mean, it's gonna cost us $50,000 to get or more to fix it. We're gonna have to figure out our plan and see what we can do. Understood. I feel for you. I know how you feel. We just got to, we gotta work through this. And we just gotta come up with a good game plan and stick with it. So, I mean, you gotta give us some time to figure something out, what we can do, what it is. Or if it's gonna be the permanent, Smoke County deal, we put a temporary fix in for you. I don't know. But you gotta give us some time to figure it out, so we can come up with
And so we'll get I know you've got a ton on your plate already. If you could maybe contemplate some temporary fixes. I know that it's not possible to just dig a hole and put a giant trash dump in there to keep it from backfeeding into these people's houses. I understand that. But any temporary solution that might be feasible should be brought to the table.
Scott, that thought did cross my mind. I know it's not feasible, but that thought did cross my mind.
it. Actually works because I did it.
Yeah.
Is there something that we come out every 6 months and jet it no matter what?
So,
Just yes, or if it's plugged or not, just jet it, make sure it's open for them?
regardless
That's
of the fact
something
that
we
it's
do.
agricultural tile, once I started, I put it on my maintenance. So I do it once a year, and I do it with a low power jetter so that it doesn't break, because when I made repairs, when I very first started here, right next door from Mr. Wolf, we had basically an artesian coming out from that. And we knew that once we put the jetter in there, it was just gonna break the key. So we've done that. The problem with that is, we've got, I don't know how much line. There's trees growing over the top of it. It runs in right-of-ways, it runs in easements. It goes all the way down to 4 Mile Creek. basically, we jetted it out, we made sure that it's flowing. But if we get a substantial, or even at this point, somewhat minor, 4 or 5 inch rain, the deterioration of that tile causes a collapse because it's been undermined by these root systems and by age. And so all we can do at that point is go in, make an assessment, and make a repair. And it costs the city quite a bit of money to do that. And all we're doing is band-aiding. And so there are multiple ideas and multiple plans that I'm not going to get into tonight because they're kind of that would be putting the cart before the horse. But I really think all we're able to do at this time is band-aid it and make sure that it's flowing right now. The likelihood that we're going to have other portions that collapse, it's pretty high. I'm not sure. It literally is. Yeah.
Curious question. If the sleeve would be a viable fix, how soon could that happen?
Well, so I did call one place and they were going to come out and give me an estimate. I sent them a map of it and explained a little bit about it, and then the owner of the company called me back and told me he was not interested. They couldn't take on that job. So I had to kind of run around. I got a couple other companies in mind. I don't know how they're going to react to the situation. There's a possibility that somebody's going to come out here and they're going to give us a good estimate and be able to do it. There's also the possibility that it's too deteriorated and no company's going to want to touch it. You know, and the problem is we have to clean it. Every single bit of it has to be clean. There's no roots whatsoever in it when they go to do that. So there's going to be an upfront expense ahead of that, and that could be somewhere in the nature of $25,000 just to go through the whole town and do that. And then we're talking afterwards doing that. If that's the way the council wants to go, and I'm still looking into all those options, and I'm all for anything that's going to help. At the same time, I'm still looking into options to just completely do away with this and figure out another way to redirect the water and keep the agricultural tile out of the residential. Unfortunately, the way the water laws are written, it's geared towards the farmer, and we cannot block that tile. We cannot block it up and cause damage to his field. And
Nature has done that.
well, yeah, and that is not our fault. Nobody's allowed, you know. But we can't knowingly or willingly block that tile. That's not something we can agree around. So,
That's what they want to do, running that new line from 6th Street down to the deer.
So, yeah, definitely priority work session, I would think.
Yes, that's what we'd like to do. Okay, got one more question.
Yes, Jim. Yes.
So, as far as expenses, costs, if this happens again, am I on the hook still?
Yep, you are.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
I think the city needs to
Why
take
is he
a
on the hook? You didn't hear the top.
No, the damage
We
to my
can
property.
fix it, but how can you, if every citizen came up here that's sitting here, they probably had water in your basement, didn't you? Now,
That's not what we're
That's
being
not,
fixed.
that's not, we're
Fixing,
didn't have any water in the
he
basement.
incurred the septic tank problem because of our tile running through there.
it's not our tile.
It's not our tile.
That's what, it's not, it's an old field tile that the city got built
Right
up.
through our city.
Yes, and every city fights
You should have
this.
set responsibility for it, and I think
Well-
Bob should be repaid too. So I don't think that decision should show this cost.
Well, we're trying to do 134th, we're gonna try to reroute that. It's sad, and it's been said, city government works slow, because you just can't that line is, I consider is just done. It's deteriorated, there's nothing you can do but throw money again and again until we gotta get the line with to divert it from the coming through, and all that takes time. It's 4 years we've been in that.
I know it's not my place, but
We wanna fix it.
I gotta disagree with you a little bit here. So, you know, in Mr. Wolf's case, yes, this tile is not ours. It is an agricultural tile. No, it's not ours. Some of it's in the city right away, some of it's not. We're still taking care of the stuff that, you know, is a few foot out of the city right away. I mean, because that's what we do. We help the community. If that water comes up, unbeknownst to the city, unbeknownst to Mr. Wolf, and it affects his septic, I think at the very least we should stand behind helping him, you know, with a pump, pumping it out on that bill. That's a hard bill to eat. I mean, I had the same exact thing happen to me with the school, and they ran a tile off the baseball field and flooded my step, and they had to come out and fix it. So, now I know that's kind of apples to oranges here, but I'm not saying that we should pay for everything.
I think this is a work session.
Okay, let's leave that. I'm sorry.
You said you're addressing 134. What are you doing there?
They got a resolution that we're gonna talk about.
That would be our next.
That water table was raised on 134. Something south of us is backing that up. I've never had water in my basement flood. Basically, now full. There's nothing in it.
They did clean that out before the pocket park there, and there was some piping that was kind of this way and this one here, and they went through there and cleaned it out, and I think that drained for quite a bit and helped that situation out, but
When did they do that?
Rick was still here at that point in time. You were there.
No, I mean, just this July 2nd,
No.
my basement was flooded. I've never had water. The water
I was
table
too, and I
along-
never had water in my basement.
The water table along 134th was raised somehow. I mean, when I took the shower out, right, just 2 inches below my basement floor was the water level. It's never been like that. On 134th. But I live on the good side. I have a consumer.
Okay, we need to get to where we got step by step. Let's go with the next item on the agenda is the resolution 2026-022. This is a resolution approving emergency stormwater repairs on 141st Place and authorizing payment of related expenses. You have that one in front of you. Do you have a motion?
Was that it? Okay.
Do I have a motion
So we are.
to get it on the,
I make a motion.
do I have a second? Okay, discussion.
So,
Get this order.
So that's where we've already,
yeah, so-
been
Now,
done, and
this is what,
All right.
let's let him, do this step by step.
all right, so this is a resolution for emergency repairs. This work has already been completed. The work in and of itself fit the city's definition of an emergency situation, which allowed me to work without resolution approval of funding to get the issues addressed and make the repairs. This work helped at Mr. Wolf's house all the way down the line, the other side of the street. I think we're somewhere at 11 houses. That's just the ones that I was able to get a hold of. I had a lot of people come up to me and go, hey, my sump pump was running yesterday. It's not running at all.
so I talked to Rob and he said the same thing. That,
So
like taking a cork out of the bottle and a lot of his stuff was flowing and not pumping.
So we, I think we replaced somewhere in the nature of, I don't know, between 40 and 80 foot of deteriorated tile. Had a tree growing in it. We also took that tree, it was within the right of way, so we took that tree as well. we've got future deterioration, made all the repairs, got the water flowing completely. And again, it helped more than just one person, but that was the initial reason for the emergency repair that fit the definition, which allowed me to do this. So this is all completed work. I just need approval of the funding.
And what's the number? I don't have a number here.
It's $15,512.05.
Not the yellow one.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay, council,
I wanted them to. We're not just sitting here not spending money, we are, we're trying to help.
is there any other comments from the council on this?
No, I'm thankful that Logan did what he needed to do for all residents.
So I got the motion, I got a second, we had the discussion. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed? They carried. All right, over on the backside of the paper is a resolution 2026-023. This is a resolution approving repairs for removal of the FDS 14140 Northeast 4th Street in Alleman. Go ahead, Logan.
Yeah, so I am requesting the funds for this up to $4,000. I do not yet have engineering approval on this. They have been heard what's going on. And without getting eyes on, they knew what I was talking about and what we're going for. Basic gist is this was a flirt-end section that was put at this residence rather than an intake with catch basin. Engineering designed it that way originally. Following that July 2nd storm, I was notified that there was somewhere in the nature of 4 foot of water blasting out of it directly towards that resident's home. So it has to be addressed. And we're going to get that done as soon as we possibly can. Depending on the contractor and engineer.
And what are we doing to fix it? We're gonna.
Right now, the idea is to remove and regrade. That was the initial idea thrown around, and that's what so far is going on. The engineering is still looking into it to make sure that that is the appropriate fix. But once it's not there anymore, we do still have plenty of other options if something else needs to be done. The point is to get rid of that water that's blasted right through.
I walked down there in the 5-inch range, and from the driveway north of there, continuous water flow over the new blacktop, kind of where it used to be always rock, and almost to the northwest corner of her house. Constant flow of water, banked off her that way, went in front of her house, down her sidewalk, and between her garages. So there's a lot more going on there than just that too. So
That's why we have the engineering.
BK. I'm not a phone person, so I don't do the video and I don't take pictures, but it was pretty bad. It was, if you went down there, you could see where the water eroded and took away dirt and grass and shoved it all down between her home.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
So I have a second.
Oh,
Okay, and then now discussion, council, is there any other discussion that you want to bring up on this resolution? Very sorry.
Well, I think they need to look at more than just, because when you take that out of there, that water is all that might have went down there in a light rain is all going down between the garages. It's all going, so they're major regrading.
I'll address that accordingly with the engineer.
Yep.
Okay, I'll call a question. Roll call.
So are we gonna wait for BK to give us their proposal first before we do this, or are you gonna spin this and then see what they have to say, or?
Right now,
What are we doing?
right now, it absolutely needs to be removed. I don't want to wait for another rainstorm to come.
So this would be considered emergency action?
It doesn't technically fit the definition of according to the city definition, it doesn't technically fit that. But I don't want to wait for another rainstorm to come, for her to get more water, shot straight towards her house. And if the engineering comes back later with, hey, I think, okay, we removed it, but here's another solution that's even better, let's do this. Then the city, I'll present that to the council and we'll move forward with that. I'm taking care of the immediate problem and then we'll move on accordingly.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, wait, wait.
Why does a flared intersection cause that to jet the water out?
Because it takes the whole street right under her driveway.
I would
Everybody
assume-
else got an intake on her street.
So it's taking too much in.
Well, everybody else got an intake on her street. My mom got an outlet, like a flared end on Culver.
She did, and there's also another aspect of it. There's also head pressure coming down.
Was it done per the drill, or was this part of it?
Yes, it was done per the drawing. Earlier.
Yeah, should have a discussion with B&K about
That is faulty design. That is also.
We talked about that when it was installed, it
That
was
is also
faulty
a discussion
design.
that we're having, but right now, fixing what needs fixed, and, yeah, definitely has something to do with the head pressure and the way it.
Okay,
Runs up everything else.
let's call the question. Or just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. Okay, next resolution is 2026-024. It's a resolution approving the budgeted annual maintenance and inspections of the city's stormwater system. I need a motion.
Motion to consider.
I need a motion. And a second.
I got it, second.
Discussion, and we'll let Logan step up first.
It's absolutely self-explanatory on this one. We budgeted for our new system to have maintenance inspections yearly so that we maintain our equipment and what we have. And this is the start of it. So this is going to be an annual cost that we will incur to maintain and inspect this system. We do have a 2-year warranty clause in the contract, so if we discover any issues, which I have already identified one issue that would be presented following the inspection to B&K, that will be covered under the bond. So just a general annual maintenance.
My only question here is, if it is truly part of the original budget, we need to even take action.
Yes.
Well, we gotta identify it. So I think the 2 years, we need to really look at it hard. And this is how you do that, to make sure what they put in there is solid.
No, I'm not questioning the need at all. I'm questioning our need to even address it tonight. Because if it's in part of the budget, we already approved it.
But you're spending more
Yes.
than his allotment.
Yeah, so you're spending more than that I'm allowed to spend. So
But it's
regardless,
already approved.
so regardless of the fact that you already budgeted it, I'm only allowed to spend an X amount of dollars without approval.
I'm moving we vote on it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2026-025. And this is a resolution authorizing the regrading and reseeding of affected areas for the stormwater project. We're having a hard time getting that grass to grow.
We gotta redo what we've already done.
I'm gonna, first of all, it's a resolution. I do have a motion.
Motion to consider.
Motion to consider. Do you have a second? Okay, discussion, and we'll put it below.
We'll be up here all night, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we had absolutely no luck with the regrading and the reseeding, obviously, because we just happened to get 12 inches of rain, and it took all that away. So this is continuing to come out of the city pocket. There's nothing on the bond that's going to cover this. There is no
What do you
withholding.
suggest for a fix?
So the previous one that we did, that was paid for with the,
What do you suggest for a
Retention.
fix?
what's that?
Fixing it so it don't wash out, you put tarp over it, burlap over it?
No, they're gonna drill seed. They're gonna drill seed and then hydro mulch. So it's a little different this time. We hydro seeded the last time. I think they did a fantastic job of the fine grading in general. I think they did a fantastic job of that, and it probably would have been fantastic had we not had that major storm event. So what date? After August 15th. After August 15th. What's that?
First time.
The first time we reseeded?
So,
Yeah, it was June 18th. June 18th. So,
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Are they gonna have to bring dirt in, or,
yeah.
they're gonna bring dirt in and,
Yep. There's some erosion areas that need to be addressed, and it's the same erosion areas that we had before that they brought dirt in, and then we get more rain and wash it.
because I've walked a lot of that, and we're sitting here with our inlets, and it looks like a lot of pipes has an inch or two wash out around it, and then it has to climb up to get into the pipe.
Yeah, they'll come out and take shots, and they'll do the fine grading and go up and make sure that
Probably a little sensitive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Next item on the agenda is Mike Foley, the Alleman City Planner, and he's going to address 201 Northeast 134th Avenue. Just go ahead.
Hildreth family's here.
Could you stand up and really talk loud?
Oh, okay.
We're using the microphone.
Yeah, put your microphone on the microphone.
That's it.
Yeah, right up to you.
Get right up to it.
Oh,
Or pull it right to you. Yeah, there you go.
anyway, this is the Hildreth State Heritage Hildreth. And the property has been zoned agriculture. They have land for sale. And they want to have it rezoned. The comprehensive plan actually has it as public property. And at that time, we had discussed the possibility of this a couple years ago, buying it. And there's a plan for taking the building there, facilities, create a future public work site, and then on the corner, a public park, and there's also the area in the far west, we build a pumping station that would send our wastewater to a regional site. Also, this property is near the future, it's shown on the plan here, the public utility infrastructure plan, part of our comprehensive plan, where we have that municipal wastewater on the west side of 4 miles, and we can be within 1,000 feet of that facilities within that develop that wastewater treatment plant with any residential property. So there's some challenges here. Also to the north, we have the transmission tower, and anyway, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge as to what uses will show out. Suggestions have been all single family residents. Well, that creates some issues on the west end of interfering with any building and no wastewater treatment site across from that. To the east of the house, you can consider family residential. Another alternative would be some kind of business, industrial type use where
Part of the problem is reduction of wastewater from this, if you're gonna start out on septic systems on the site. Like single family homes to certain uses will produce certain, and that'd be warehouse. Let's say, one idea would be like offices and so forth, but a small office. Maybe for a contractor, then they have some storage on site and so forth. But my recommendation, if that would happen, I would regulate quite a bit as far as the quality of development, architecture, landscapes, buffering to the residents. But this question is serious, and it needs to be initiated by the city council, especially from which you can do that. We used to do it all the time. And so that's what we're looking at. They want to rezone from agriculture. And in this process, we will discuss alternatives. And we need to have you refer to the planning commission. But also, if you have any input, for us to consider this, it's going to end up here and get approval. Now, if you keep it as it is, you're going to have to put up some money for this comp plan. So we have to plan for that. I don't know what part.
How does keeping it as it is?
Well, it's agriculture. I don't know. It's just that they would. We don't.
I'm Tracy Hildreth. I live at 602 North 7th Street in Ankeny. We were just, my sister had wondered about dividing it off. We were having no luck with anybody putting in bids. We had set it up for bids to send to the lawyer for May 1st and May 29th. We didn't get any bids. So we thought, well, maybe there are people that want a place, but it's too big for them. Developers, too small. So we had just inquired about having it changed, if it was possible to change it, maybe the zoning on it and that kind of thing. We're not necessarily wanting to change it. I think that should be up to the person who buys it, because we don't know for sure. We've had people that, and this last week's been a little more active, but we've had people that wanted for maybe to buy the whole thing for horses. We've had people that said, yeah, that industrial or light commercial. And light commercial, we're looking like electricians, plumbers, painters, maybe somebody like that that doesn't have a big foot imprint. I noticed, and I hadn't thought about that traffic over on 134th to the highway. Be mostly, I imagine that being mostly van and cube van traffic, probably for something like that. I think you guys have already got a sign up that says no trucks through there, so heavy trucks would have to come to the goal or whatever. But we're just at a point now, we know that residential, like I say, with this sewer project going on and not knowing where it's going to go, that would cause issues, could cause issues for us as far as legal goes, because if they build and then they have that, plant go up and there could be lawsuits. We're just trying to find it. So if it stay in agriculture, I prefer that now when I'm paying my property taxes. I don't want to pay any county but if it stays agriculture, that's fine with me. And then the person that buys that's going to have to determine. It's obviously going to matter who buys it.
Do you have any buyers for those two?
We got one gentleman that's interested, but he wanted to guarantee that if he bought it and it was still a zoned agriculture, he wanted to guarantee that that zoning couldn't change.
Where's it sitting?
Could change,
right now?
could change.
But in our comprehensive plan,
Could change.
what's it say?
It's showed in here. Like I said, we are looking at it as actually public.
Years ago, I had inquired about this property specifically, because it was attractive to me for a couple of reasons. But I was told in military terms that they couldn't build anything on it because of the ice that falls from the tap. Now, my question is, was that a county decision, and now the county's not involved anymore? We can change that if we want, and if we do, is there any liability?
I don't think that there was any.
Yeah, Bob and I talked about that, and he had called the county, and they had something on there about ice, but I thought that the county engineer said we're gonna take that off of there. So as far as I know, there's nothing on there that's,
Years ago, there was an ice issue.
yes, there has been.
Existing buildings there had damage from ice at one time.
Yeah, it's my roof.
So like Cedarville Park or maybe a little business area or something like that.
We only had ice issues in the heavy ice. You know, the frost isn't a big deal because it crumbles on its way down. But the solid ice stuff, you know, that seemed like that was just the sheets that we had issues. Didn't seem like we had any roof damage on the house or anything. So it was just that one particular area, probably the way the wind was blowing at that time out of the northwest or something maybe. You know, we had that.
Interest of time here, this is something that we'll have to work on our work session. But we want to work with you hand in hand to get this property sold and work with future owners. And so it's probably going to be a moving situation here insofar as what the future owner wants to do with the property.
Right.
And I'm sure that the council is interested in helping the owners with that endeavor. But we can only go set parameters, I guess, and those parameters will be the ones that we set. And then work with Mike to get that kind of paperwork done. So, I mean, I would say to any future buyers that you're dealing with, that the city is very attuned to helping you as long as it conforms, you know, as far as heavy trucks serving a commercial business up and down 134th Avenue.
Right.
That's not a good situation. But, you know, you'll know our concerns. There's no hidden agenda here or secrets in real estate. You know, I just want to help you guys get it done. We did this across the street from my house. We were very successful in the TIF project on those 8 houses there, which was very helpful to the city. And we'd like to, see that happen again. And I think it could happen. You never know, lightning strikes twice. Right. So that's what we'll do, council. Is that?
The work session is good.
Work session?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be next Monday, so.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is agricultural tile. I'm sorry. Where am I? Okay, wait a minute. There was 3 here.
I know you're hurry, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike, on the 1-3. Mike, on your next one.
Yeah, these are a couple annexations that are really applications for. And I think the one, is that one you're looking for?
Yeah, Chief Bill got hold of me and wanted to know what we thought about letting him bring his rest of his land in tonight. That's over there, that's where's House Homestead at. We're bringing that 26 acres or whatever it is, bring it in today. And that would be in the city, throw up whatever block we got. He just wants to know what the council feels about it.
What's your recommendation?
I say we go for it.
Which one is this?
The one that's behind the 8 houses?
Oh, yeah.
Over here.
And then it goes up to his south boundary.
And he wants to change it to,
No, he wants to bring it into the city limits, but
City
bring it in
limits.
as ag.
It's still as ag.
that's
What it is now.
That's what it is now.
All we do is,
you wouldn't have to plat.
workshop on.
No plat, no
No
nothing.
plat, just bring it in.
Just bring it in as ag. He has no future as of right now. Let's put it in swap.
Work session?
So the daughter's house is off the table? So the house that he intended to build there is off the table?
Just treat
We go one step at a time.
Yeah, let's do that. We can work on
And
that.
so it's not an easy process. We're within 2 miles of Aiken. You know, we have a consultation and,
They have to be notified.
yeah, everything. It's,
Council, we'll have Mike.
But all he does is like we don't have any more.
Yeah, we'll have Mike put together a proposal.
well,
and
then,
we'll have
I'll be
him
at the
as the
meeting one
plan.
day and perhaps put together our annexation process, application.
And you can be our point man with the city of Aiken and put that. all
Yeah,
together.
well, that, once we do the applications then.
Okay.
Then we'll have a, okay, call it.
And you'll work with Jim here
Yeah.
on that.
Then the other two here, that Dell installs, and I got those applications ready, but then it's coming back this direction. We'll have something. We can do it 80, 180.
Stalls is next to the interstate.
And then we had suggested having a annexation moratorium or a line with no part, and I mentioned that. So we will see about that too, maybe discuss it. So anyway, but we'll get into that more detail. And I'll have.
Thank you. Any questions of Mike?
Just why you talk to him, say anything, we're good with what he.
Yeah, I think you have a good support.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You won't tell them that if somebody say, well, I didn't say that.
We can't have everybody talking at once. Can't have everybody talking at once. Okay, let's have some order. Thank you. I think everything is done with Mike, correct, Mike?
Yes.
We'll get everybody, and we're all on the same page. Next item on the agenda is agricultural tile drainage project, north side of 134th Avenue. You're up, Logan.
No, that's me. No, I'm sorry, what it is, we've been working on this project for a while, trying to figure it out. We actually got somewhat of a plan. We got a lot of people up there that had problems with this water coming off piles and everything, just like we do up here. But we do have a plan. I think we need to send it out for bid, so we know exactly what our cost is. And then I need to meet with our accountant, with Sherry, and see what our money situation is, because we got a lot of extra spending on account here with all our stuff.
31,000 tonight.
So I like to put it out so where we split it up into 2 costs like we do it this coming spring. Do half pay then and half on the next budget. But it's something we need to do. We fixed Scott's area. We just moved it from the stub street to a front ditch. One column to the other. We gotta go underneath the road there. Logan estimated 20, 25,000 maybe to do that. There's a gentleman up the street that has tile right on the south side of 134th that's had problems for several years now that we've been saying we're going to fix. It runs all the way to Denver. We need to fix that too, and that's going to be, that might even be 40, 50,000. You know, I don't think we should throw this money out at those 2 fixes. I think we need to throw it at the main fix, start where the road's at, and then we'll work our way out. but I think we need to split up between two budgets, but we need to find out what the cost is. We got an estimate of 200,000. Outrageous. I think we can do it a little different than that. So I think we need to get B&K here next Monday, so we can get exactly what we're gonna do, what kind of pipe we're putting in. Because I think we should go half perforated, half solid. So we and Lawrence talked about this, so we can kind of gather up some of the groundwater that's seeping over it. We can go with put gravel on the bottom, gravel top. I think original bid that we got with B&K doesn't include that. I think it's including salt pipe all the way down. So we got a little couple things we need to change, but I think we need to step forward with this because same thing up here. We got residents. I've had more than one stop me and talk to me about it, and we kind of had it in the budget for this year anyway, but we had all these other expenses come up, so we need to rearrange how we're going to do it. And I think we still need to move forward with it and go after it.
Wasn't it the budget though 80?
Well, that was a rough estimate 3 years ago. And when we had to get B&K involved, then it went up to somewhere, they estimated somewhere around 200. And with Logan and us, I think we can get her down a little further.
So that's what I wanted to speak on here. So what we're going off of is the original design that Scott and I
I say we
worked
do
off
the
of.
original one. I say we can get it shorter.
Here's the deal. We have probably in the nature of 500 linear feet on the west end and another 600 linear feet on the east end. So
Oh, I see where you go.
yeah. So the eastmost tile there, that is newer tile. I mean, it's like within 15 years, so it's black.
Which tile? I'm sorry, which one are you talking about? Okay.
So
He did that when he pulled the trees out the back.
So I think a good cleaning on that from the property owner or the VC, whatever, we're going to take care of those issues, and we've already addressed where the water was affecting the residents partially off of that. So I think we could leave that alone, and rather than drawing that extra 600 linear feet out on that east end, we can stop at what is it here? I can't remember.
The tile with 90.
What's your address?
1101.
At 1101, 134. We stop right there. We cut off 600 linear feet on the east end. We cut off probably 500 and some, give or take, on the west end. Cut our costs down substantially on that, and go to engineering and see if we can't bid it out that way. Get a little bit with dual wall N12 solid and another one with perforator. And see where we land.
One to the east, I'd like to take that as far as we can, because I like to, if we capture some of the groundwater that's running through those people's yards.
Yeah,
I'd like
that's true.
to capture that if we can, the perforated pipe.
That's true.
And I like it would help them out that way, instead of just cutting it off and say, hey, you guys better help.
But we could also come back with that on a separate project.
Perforated with solid pipe.
Because the second to the last tile over here. Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Was there a question?
Yeah, well, is perforated and solid pipe compatible? Because if it fills up, it's gonna blow back, and for some reason, I think.
I think that's a question for our engineering.
Yeah, I think it's, I read it, it's not a good practice.
Well, it's not good practice for perforating
To share the, to go from one to the next, I think that's what
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to have dual wall. We're gonna have to have dual wall when we bore it, whether we bore it underneath that flume or we go right next to it. It's gonna have to be solid.
Going through my property, I want a solid pipe.
That's what I mean. It's gonna have to be solid dual wall.
It's got to be solid. I'm talking about perforated running east and west.
Right.
And then where I think the bottom half should be solid, where the water running down through the tile will drain. The top half perforated where we get some groundwater through the gravel, soak it into it, push it out away from people's yards. Going in the basement.
Well, the assessment was never made whether we were gonna put in any type of catch basin or whether we were going to, you know, if we were going to do
Clean out with-
solid dual wall with
Clean out.
catch basin to catch the surface water, or whether we were going to do perforated. I don't see a reason why we can't get bids on both.
Yeah, this,
I mean, that is a question for engineering, but
this is, I know on new development, because I've reviewed stormwater, Milwaukee, stuff, for Kingsford County. And what you would do if this was a new development here, you would intersect all those with a storm sewer, these tile, and then run it into that creek. So these high density polyethylene.
That's what DEP has got going on, right?
yeah, they've got dual wall HDPE.
What?
I mean, when we talk about solid, me and Lauren and I try to capture some of the groundwater that's water running through there.
Well, this one would, is the maroon or whatever, wouldn't that be a solid? Just a storm sewer, use high density polyethylene, which is about cheapest, standard design standards. Pick that up. The other thing you can do is just run some, you got a high point here.
That's what the design plan is right now. It's for HDPE.
Yeah.
That's what the design
Not
plan is
perforated.
right now. No, it's not perforated.
That's what I would do.
Design. But
And then
the question of should it be perforated?
You put a big enough pipe right here, where's that? At that low point. And something would say, if you have a drain,
That's the low point right there.
here's the lowest
Right.
point.
It says drain right here, it's
Yeah.
just fluid outlet, that's where it runs down, that's most of what.
And, guys, I don't think you can solve this tonight. This is another work session.
It is, we're going to be here, so we could, but I want to get this on the board where we get this going.
And also, the other factor is, you know, the property from the property to put a pipe in and all that kind of stuff. So you need
I'll
to
work
put
on
this
that.
to the- Yeah,
I'll work on that. Don't worry about that.
You're gonna be.
I'll take care of that.
You're point person with Lauren.
I have, I've already talked to you.
Well, we'll almost need that first.
All right, we'll take care of that. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
I have one question / comment. I will agree with what Randy says about water level. So if there's something that can be done along, whether it's I don't think it should be all perforated, but if there's another 4 or 6 inch tile that can run beside it to allow with tie-in to that, I think that would be. I also have never had water in my basement until that last rain.
The 12 inch.
Yes, and it was not because I didn't have power, because I have a generator and I was able to plug in my sink. I still got water. And I also, I can't prove this, but I'm guessing because of the issue that was around it, the water level was a lot higher than what it ever has. My sump pump has ran more than it ever has. So I agree with Randy that I think the water level was higher. And I also think
I'm in on that. When we pumped our own water, when we pumped our wells, ran our water level was never this high. Once we stop pumping our own drinking water, that's when the water level in this town started to get high. So I threw this out to Logan a few months ago. Why can't we just turn our pump on and pump some water into the creek and just let those pumps run and try to get some of the groundwater out of the ground? I mean, it's non-drinking water anyway. Why can't we pump that stuff right into that side creek and just let it run out for a mile and try to lower some of this groundwater?
Second that.
I mean, it's not usable.
To Mr. Stevens' point, so I live at 1120 or 1101 on 134. So this big long tile that comes in here, 988. So I live right here. I live right next to Jack Thielen, lives right next to me, and I've been here since 2017. And that tile has always been janky, but my septic laterals in my backyard were functional and they work. And this year, even prior to the big rain, is the first time that my laterals, I had Brad Rogers come out from Rogers Septic, and my laterals are failing because of the constant amount of water that's in there. So I think, I would agree with what the fine gentleman says about the water table being higher than it normally is. I appreciate the council's effort for, to put a plan here back behind these houses to do that. But I think Mr. Stevens' plan, if we can, depending on where those wells are located, I don't see.
Well, they're
why we couldn't.
located down by the pocket park.
So on that
What I
note,
do is just pump out the side in that little side creek and then just go right in front of it.
so on that note, I have been pumping excess. As of right now, I've pumped almost double what I normally pump at this time. Obviously, we've had a lot of water, so it has had very little effect. Pumping from our pump house basically to the creek. Yeah, that pump
How
house
does that
there.
affect people down the street?
Well, that's I can't pump on 4 miles that high anyways. But I can only pump a certain amount during the day, and then I got to manually switch it over. So I can pump back to the tower for the water that we sell. And I'll be honest with you, the last couple of weeks, obviously we've been working on emergency repairs to get down there and pumping that. I don't know if there's a solution in the future for maybe an automated system that I can put in there and where
That
we
would be
release.
nice where it kicked on at night and ran.
Yeah, where we.
12 hours at night.
Yeah, I could run a supplement off this pressure system and pump. I can tell you though, we are only allowed on our permit to run.
Hey, let's only have one speaker at a time. You're up.
Okay. What you got going on, Scott?
Mike asked him a question.
Well, a couple of things that were on my original plan kind of got skirted around and we're being forced to come back to them. One is that we mainly want to intercept what's coming out of, prevent it from entering what's going on in South there. We've got a couple of issues behind the Christensen property. For one, it straddles the line. It's part on Muhlenthals, it's part on the city right away, it's part on the property owner, the resident. There's a low spot there. That low spot has been neglected. There are trees, big volunteer silver maples in there, which are going to be a problem. Has that been addressed as far as what this new project looks like, as far as cost of removal?
No, because those are on private property. And so they're not within, they're not within an area that I can.
But it's right on top of the line, so it's going to be a problem.
It is going to be a problem. So the discussion has to be had with the residents.
Right, but again, we also would need to explore what the additional cost would be for running a perforated right alongside, right on top of it, or whatever.
Yeah, I like Scott's idea.
I have a question. Why don't you run it all perforated? You're trying to lower the water level, right?
Because if you're running water down the tube, you got perforated, just gonna slow it down.
Stormwater pipe, you know.
So you gotta have.
If you put it at the right slope, it will go.
So I think Scott.
I think it's better to have it, usually what they develop new developments, you intercept, they bring everything to a solid storm sewer system. And limiting it for the development area.
Why would we like it?
But the thing is, this is not being developed right now. This is
Why do we have to
agricultural.
eliminate development in there?
I mean, in a new development, you intercept it in the storm here, you run the whole thing through storm sewers.
I suggested a while ago to put at least a 24-inch line underneath the highway by the culvert. At least 24 inch. That way, you put a manhole over there on the north side of 134th, you can catch water from everywhere. You can put a catch basin in it, catch groundwater, everything. Then you still run your field tile, but get it down deep enough so when you put the future pipe in behind the new houses, the water table comes down below the basements of these houses. That's why I keep pushing on 24-inch line minimum, 10, 12, 14 feet, whatever it takes to go underneath there, when they bore underneath there, get that elevation down. And that picks up the water from all the houses, your house, everybody's house.
Are you talking under 69 there?
Go on under 134th.
Yeah.
Go underneath there between Bill's house and bore underneath it. It's gonna be costly.
Yeah.
Just get a big enough pipe to get that out. You know, the thing is, that storm you had, I heard this was a 1,000-year storm.
Yeah.
all your storm sewer systems anymore, I mean, they've always been designed as 100-year storm.
And here's the other catch of this.
But yeah,
Talk to Bill about this right, he might be on board with this. Get some cost out of it, because he talks, because all these streets going north, one of them's gonna have to have a bridge or a big culvert going underneath it to get all that property eventually. So something like that, that would be to his benefit if we had a 24-inch line going.
But you have to remember that there's an elevation change
Yes.
along this east end.
Yeah.
So then we're running it down over here. He's got.
It would be running backwards.
Well, what I'm saying is he's got an 8-inch in there. So
If this is low enough, that should catch it.
and then we have to, and like I said, I work with the DOT and I run this by them and they are, okay with working on something that we
You
could
talk on
run.
the east side.
Yeah, that we could run on the east
I'm not
side.
talking about anything on the east side, all the west side. From about the middle of the.
You're talking 24 inch on the west side, the east side would be.
Well, what the breaking point is.
Okay, all right.
and that runs some storm water shelves coming down. That's a big fight.
We gotta talk to the DNR, we gotta talk to
Everybody,
Polk County.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I want to assure the residents that we've got a lot of work to do. We need your support, your input. Again, we're going to have a work session next Monday, but however many Mondays it takes for us to put together a program that we can follow with our money. This year, next year, year after. I mean, we've got this council does a good job of it, but we're going to have to put together a plan. And I know everybody is very anxious, to get this thing on board and get it done. Like Mike said, it was a 1,000-year flood. It just happened. And
We had two of them in 8 years.
yeah, and so, we just got a plan for the
200
future.
years.
But, we can have a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll second it.
Any, discussion?
Halloween cleanup day, the 26th, everybody.
All in favor? Aye.